If there's one thing us health, safety, environmental professionals have in common, is that we get pushback. Lots of pushback in meetings, and I've butted heads in more meetings than I can count. Let's say you've got some kind of big proposal. You've got a new policy, new initiative, and you're in a meeting to discuss it. And one of the stakeholders or a serious decision maker, they are resistant to the idea. Let's say, for this example, you are trying to get all of the frontline management team trained in IOSH Managing Safely. You've got 40 people. It's a 3-day course. It'll take something like 120 days to get through all of that, and lots of serious logistical challenges of delivering training across shifts while still running the place. So you're in this meeting and the ops manager says, no way can we do that. No way am I prepared to do that. Now the first challenge we've got here is to ask why. We've got to get them to say why and all of the reasons why, not just I can't do it, but it's like, why can't I do it? Well, it takes too much time. Well, why is that a problem? So try and explore this a little bit. Whilst they're talking, the important thing that you need to do is listen. So step one, I would say, is listen carefully, active listening, if you know what that means. We sit there non-judgmentally. We don't sit there grinning like we think it's funny. We don't sit there frowning or scowling like we disagree. We sit there non-judgmentally, really trying to understand their point of view and generally being quite accepting of their point of view. Step two is we have to show them that we've listened, and we must resist the urge to argue back. So in step two, we validate what they said. So we repeat back to them in their own words what we have understood. So we could say something like, so just let me check I've understood. So your reason for not wanting to do it is because it takes 120 days out of work. You're concerned about our ability to run the lines whilst we're training. You're concerned about bringing people off of weekend shifts and night shifts. So you just repeat back all of the things that they've said in a non-judgmental way without arguing to show that you've listened. Step three, if you're in a meeting with several people, there's a chance you might have some allies in that meeting. You might have a quality manager or a HR manager or someone who equally would like to see the frontline management team trained. And so if you know who that ally is, ask them to get involved. So you could turn to them and say, hey, Sarah, what do you think of this proposal? And hopefully they will argue in your favor. Now, if you don't have any allies, or let's say you're not sure of whether people are supportive or not, you could phrase the question in a more positive way. You could say, hey, Sarah, what benefits do you see in this proposal? And hopefully Sarah will take the hint and she'll focus on the benefits rather than the negatives. Now, you could do this with 2 or 3 people. If there's half a dozen of you in the meeting, you could ask, 3 or 4 people what they think to the proposal, what the benefits are, and so on. And then step 4, this is the final step, you go back to the original person, the ops manager, and you repeat back to them their objections. You revalidate what they said. So you say, hey, so Dave, you are concerned about this proposal. You're not keen because of the time, the 120 days. You're concerned about this, you're concerned about that, and you're kind of struggling to see how this is feasible. And in Sarah's opinion, we've got these benefits. In John's opinion, we've got these benefits. So you kind of relay the benefits to them as well. So here are the objections, here are the benefits. And here's the crucial point to end it with. Step 5, I would say, is ask them a future-oriented question. Ask them what the way forward is. Ask them, what do you propose or what do you suggest we do to deliver this training to your team so that we get all of those benefits whilst avoiding all of the problems, or at least most of the problems, around time and commitment and so on, whilst minimizing all the problems that you said. So throw the kind of the problem solving back onto them. What do you suggest we do? Now they may, hopefully, this isn't guaranteed, but hopefully it'll come back with some good suggestions. They could say, well, listen, if we could get the training days, down from say 3 to 2, instead of like 3 8-hour days, can we do it over 2 12-hour days? Or instead of having a 3-day block, can we spread it over 3 weeks? Can we pick and choose the days? Can we have a blended learning approach? Can we do an e-learning approach? It's like, maybe it'll have some kind of solution which they would be happy to look at. And in which case, perfect, you go with that. Now, if they don't have a solution, if they just sit there and shrug and say, well, I can't see a way forward, you could ask them, you could accept the responsibility of solving this. You could ask them, listen, if we can find a way of delivering this training that fits in with your shift patterns, that fits in with your schedules, and that doesn't take up too much resource at any one time, and would you be prepared to go ahead with it? And hopefully, most of the time, in my experience, mostly, if you've listened carefully and repeated back to them all their problems and you've kind of promised to solve them, most of the time they'll say, yes, if you can do that for me, yes, I'll go ahead with it. Now, you've then inherited another problem. You've got to figure out a solution to that. You're going to have to find a trainer who can space things out or juggle this around shift patterns or find an e-learning approach, which is fantastic, or whatever. But at least now you've got a commitment and a solution forward, rather than the opposite of where they're resisting your idea and you're arguing in favor of the idea and both of you are just digging your heels in, and that doesn't get anyone anywhere. Anyway, I hope that's useful. Let me know how that goes. It's worked well for me in the past. Catch you later.